Blogtalk Radio.
Hi, welcome to Cosa Nostra Radio. We're a family of poets from around the world who love to get together and share our love for verse. All are welcome here. The call-in number is 929 477 3951. 929 477 3951. Of course, we ask that you be respectful and cordial to all guests and poets. Let everyone speak, and please don't interrupt. Everyone will get a chance to speak. We treat others here the way that we would expect to be treated. Also, I'd like to mention not all the views and opinions of the guests on the show are reflective of the ownership and management of the Cosa Nostra Radio and are of their own free will. We all believe in freedom of speech and respect for all people. Feedback and conversation are encouraged. Thank you for joining us and enjoy this Cosa Nostra program.
And I guess that's my cue. Welcome to tonight's episode of Broken Hearts Bleed. Host, Raconteur. I've got watching the studio for me. He's going to be my eyes and fingers. How you doing tonight, Razz?
Yeah, Rac. I have a couple of eyes and fingers if you want them.
Awesome. Well, you hang on to them because I can't make them function. I can't even make my own function. So they're more they'll serve us better. They'll actually be serve a purpose. Or if we were at the world, I'd say serve a purpose. That sounds like Boo.
When he's done with me, I'll just jump back into the sensory deprivation tank. Boo!
Sorry, thought I was on mute.
You ain't on mute. There's no shutting you up.
I know, everyone knows that.
Many have tried, none have succeeded.
I know, no sense trying, I know. True. Hi, Razzle Dazzle. Hi, Recipe.
Goodbye. Very open-ended discussion. I think that's why we got so many rights. Goodbye can be saying goodbye to a loved one that passed. Goodbye to the big off, which kind of I think is what the majority of us have been through. Hopefully we haven't all had those tragedies in our lives where we've lost a lot of loved ones. That goodbye represents that to us. But, sometimes, goodbye is actually, I won't say a happy goodbye, but just a temporary, I'll see you later goodbye. Or sometimes it's, I'm on vacation and, I'm only visiting for a little while goodbye, and I don't know when I'm going to see you again. So open-ended, I think, and each one has an emotion attached to it, so we should have a lot of interesting points. And without further ado, since we have so many rights, I kind of wanted to to some of the poetry. It's only managed to get some of the stuff in the studio booth.
Yeah, I just forgot the name of yours. I think
Don't worry
yours is already in there. But no, I just wanted to tell me what it is.
We'll be lucky if we don't have caregivers. Don't worry about me.
Okay.
I'm good. Trust me.
Okay. You can start with Gerald if you like.
I start with Gerald. That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, why not Gerald Green? That sounds like a good suggestion. You want me to do the reader?
You get the poem, Razz, and I'll get
I have the poem.
You gave us an audio.
I'm Over You by Gerald Green.
You didn't give us an audio?
No, I did.
Audio,
He did.
no.
I'm getting it. He did. I'm getting it.
You have
Yes,
the
he
audio?
does, Razz. Yes, I do.
Where
Razz.
was it?
I keep
On the link.
Razz and Razz, both of you. I gotta get. Yeah, I got it. 1 second.
Sorry, Gerald.
Mr. Green.
We appreciate your audios very much.
Shake our tambourines for Mr. Green.
Okay, well, I'm looking for it. It's under today's date. So here we go. Okay, here we go.
Written and read by Gerald Green.
I'm Over You. Written and read by Gerald Green. I have to say, I cannot lie. What's gone is gone, I can't deny. I've decided to face it, and I want you to know. I'm over you. It's time to go. The feeling's gone, forever past. It didn't grow, it didn't last. I can take it no longer, and I want you to know. I'm over you. It's time to go. You didn't care. You didn't try. My love grew cold. You let it die. I am leaving forever, and I want you to know. I'm over you. It's time to go. No matter how you feel, I'm leaving today. I'm getting away from here. I cannot stay. No matter what you say or what you do, I know this is better for me and for you, 'cause I'm over you. It's time to go.
Nice. There's that lingering feeling, I think, when you see the end coming and you just almost feel abandoned. Wow. there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in this, and it's plainly put, and it needs to be, I think, that way, because there's no real metaphor for the idea of being over someone like that. It's just, when you say it straight up, it has to come out like that. It really does.
Straight up's the only way to go, don't you think?
Well, you wrestle with the memories, and some people are arrogant enough to think, or at least to wonder, how often do you still think of me, that kind of a thought. But it's a letting go to a point almost that you have to convince yourself, I think, when you talk about stuff like that, when the relationship ends. He's got some great lines in there about the facing the truth of it, his love grew cold and you let it die. It's very much, they say, happiness is a choice, and that puts a slight emphasis on that choice, because if you know that there's a problem and you try and discuss it or don't discuss it, that's also a choice. But I mean, if you can try and build it up and save it, or you could just let it die, and that's kind of empirical evidence. When you let it die, it's like you saw it dwindling and you did nothing, you just stood by. So I assume that you didn't want to keep going. So and again, that involves the whole, well, what happens when you assume, but at the same time, you're talking about feelings, and feelings aren't rational. So it all goes back to, if you want to discuss why you feel this way, and then you could argue. It leads to a lot of arguments. But when it comes to saying goodbye, I think it's very adult and important to actually say it, as opposed to God forbid, ghosting someone, because there's nothing to me worse than that lingering, like I need closure. A goodbye at least gives them that. You make your feelings known, you make it clear that I'm walking away, and boom, exit stage left. Well done, Gerald. What'd you think, Razz?
Yeah, this reminded me of when I stopped seeing my best friend since childhood. He came over the house one day from Lakeland, and I was like 25. He had his wife by then and the baby, and we just kind of spent a couple of hours together, and I never saw him again. And it was like that kind of momentum where, certain relationships, they just kind of finish from there. And you have to accept that there's a way of carrying on from where there had been that end point. Yeah.
Goodbye to a friendship's a little, different than a romance, but, that definitely point taken. Well, what'd you think, Boo?
Well, I mean, I think it's like you said, it's pretty straight up to the point, like he doesn't really say why, and there doesn't need to be a reason why or an explanation why, because he's over it. He's at the point he's over it, it seems like. Get the fuck out,
Now you bring up an interesting thought when you say that, because you say he doesn't say why. At the end of the day, does why really matter? If one person doesn't go on, whatever their reasoning is, do you really want to take it and argue that reason and try and change somebody's mind? Or just say, well, okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect your opinion. You say, goodbye, then I'm not going to argue with you. I've actually had people tell me, I'm not going to tell you because you're just going to try and change my mind, or you will change my mind is even a worse thought, and to believe that or to think that you could even have that power to temporarily, because it never sticks. Maybe you can change their mind, but it never sticks, and that's been worse, because now you're diving back in and you got the open wound, and you're circling the drain, so everything is like eggshells. So it's like no, that doesn't work for me. So yeah, the why becomes the kiss of death.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry?
I agree, but I've been on both sides where I try to change someone's mind and I'm just like over it. So both suck.
Yeah. I mean, goodbyes are tough. They really are. This is a great opening. Great thought, Gerald. Great thought. What do you think, Razz? You want to do a little Nigel, or is it too soon?
Why not get into it with Lauren 67? Yeah, I'll do the piece for you. Let me grab them out of the folder. And this is To Be or Not to Be. Never mind. So, by Lauren 67. To be or not to be. That is, never mind. The Adventures of Nigel the Fat Cat and his homie Alfie. Nigel. To be or not to be. That is the question. Alfie, huh? So what's the answer? Nigel, that is the answer. Alfie, what is? Nigel, that is. Alfie, what is? Who's on first? Nigel, I don't know. Alfie, no, I don't know is on second. Nigel, so who's on first? Alfie, right. Nigel, right what? Alfie, he's on third. Nigel, who is? Alfie, no, who is on first? Nigel, sheet. Alfie, I'm going to kick your ass. Come here. Don't you run. Come here. So I can put my size 2 baby paw booty all up in your ass. Alfie, goodbye. Help. And peace.
Oh, I almost want to yell at him because I don't know who's on third from the original broadcast, but I appreciate, I guess as the manager of the team, you could shift the positions. So I'll let that lie. But I had a laugh. I love that original radio broadcast. I actually had purchased it back on cassette tape back in the day because that was how much I enjoyed it. That was a great rendition, and translating the thought of goodbye, the ending of a relationship, to be or not to be, that was a great thought. That was a great thought, and it translates well into your little skit. Yeah, there is sometimes a lot of confusion involved in that goodbye. And who's doing what and where and to whom and where we're going to even wind up sometimes. Some people, they break up and they don't even know that they're broken up. It's like, I thought, I said goodbye and if, unless you say it plainly or unless you make it clear, sometimes people act like, you never did it. And they're like, so I'll see you again tomorrow. and then or they show up at work. It's like, I thought we had a date tonight, It's crazy. This is great, Lawrence. I always enjoy Nigel and Alfie, the Adventures of Nigel and Alfie. Great characters, and keep on. What'd you think, Razz? Nice read, by the way.
Yeah, I would get off that Abbott Costello routine when I was a kid as well. As to who's goodbye, wasn't that the pitcher? Or was he tomorrow?
No.
I can't really quite remember. Could have
who's
also
on first? What's on
field.
second? I don't know. Who's on third?
Who was also tomorrow instead of that coach? The manager must have been really out of it when he signed those team league names. But can you expect that much more from ESPN now?
Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Who's on third? Boo.
You sure the pitcher wasn't tomorrow instead of goodbye?
He might have been.
Like
that was the closing. That was the closing joke. He's our pitcher.
2 baby booty all up in your ass. That's all you need. That's really funny. I mean, it's just a typical Lawrence who he is, or what he writes about. So, I thought this was pretty funny. This is just, I suspected. And you read it awesome, as always. You bring it to life, as whatever.
Thanks, Boo. What do you think? Do we have Phil in the studio?
Working on Phil.
Working on Phil. How about Kitty?
That's next, and then I'm done. Sorry, I had a situation first.
Phil, no Kitty yet?
Yeah, would you like to read Zappa's Goodbye September Sky?
Yeah.
All right. He's in the hospital right now. We hope you get better, Zappa.
Hope you get better. Yeah.
Your family's waiting for you at home. Like to keep on writing back. So here's Zappa in Goodbye September Sky. If I could read your mind, what and why should I? Your memories like plasma serpentine, a quasar imploding into infinity, light years explanation, temporary interpretation. At one time you shined, exclamation, divination, proclamation, X3. You and me, we faded, a dying ember, past September. I cried, knowing you lied, apprehension, soft December. The fire going, gone, a pulsar into another galaxy. So, here I go. And peace.
Wow. I like this, Zappa. And you caught me towards the end. I cried knowing you lied. I mean, when it ends and the flame goes out, you kind of want to look for that justification, the reasoning behind it, and when it's based on a lie, which that's always something that haunts me in the end, because it always makes everything that led up to that moment feel like a lie. And then you start looking back and questioning things, and it really turns into a hairball. It's almost impossible to untangle it and understand. It's like, but you felt that way in the moment, but it feels like a lie now because love is forever, and love, all the things that are wrapped up in that. You mentioned quasars and space. It is that cosmic. It really is that emotional, and you captured it wonderfully. I thought this was great. What'd you think, Boo? She thought I was going to call on you, Red.
Yeah, sorry. Goodbye, September Sky. I love the title. I love the picture that he has of it. And, if we could read everybody's mind we were with and knew what they were thinking. But this part really grabs me. Your memories like plasma serpentine, quasar imploding into affinity. Damn. That's like total destruction, total proclamation. Like he says, you and me, we faded and dying. It's just like someone is severely heartbroken, in my opinion. And it's just dead and dying. He knows it, and he doesn't want to face it. And he wants to go back to remember that sky. Beautifully written. He writes brevity always so beautifully and powerful. And I hope you get well soon, Zappa.
Great piece, Zappa. What'd you think, Razz?
Yeah, it says in the author's note, October 3rd, September, divination. And so it seems this is very personal to the poet, in which they had someone specifically in mind who they can never see again. And it's definitely one of those themes in poetry that stand out to a credible level of how you have the artist going through personal losses which might never recover, and all that tragedy there in paint of words.
There's something about that too. When you talk about, I want to say poetry in general. For me, at least, I think of the honor around it, and that idea of, you kind of have to honor their decision, and you can't, haunt them, stalk them, however you want to put it. Goodbye is kind of final. They've said their piece. They said that they don't want anything more. So it's like, if you're saying goodbye, then I guess this is the end. And there's a finality to it. at least in most cases. Some people, they utter that dreaded phrase, "We can still be friends."
Oh yeah, right. Like you can go backwards. You can never go backwards once you've been.
Yeah.
Well, if you can, it's really hard to do.
I don't know that it's possible. I really don't. I mean, that whole we could still be friends thing, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna gouge my eyes out now because that just no, that doesn't work. That really doesn't work. Anyway, from in my experience, but yeah, I thought this was beautiful.
Yeah.
Very emotional, like the idea tonight was.
Hey, you ever been sitting there and you're like, the person goes to you, hey, I want to talk to you about something, and you're like, oh shit, and all of a sudden you start to freaking out. Oh my God, they're gonna break up with me. Oh my God, it's gonna leave. Like all this shit, and then you just like freak yourself out, and then when it comes, well, it might come, it might not come, but I don't know. Never mind.
There's a whole episode of Seinfeld about George running away every time somebody said a phrase like that. It was like, she's like, I've been trying to break up with you for a month now. and he's just been like avoiding her.
You're like, I refuse to accept that shit. I'm sorry, but...
We need to talk. Okay.
Right there, your stomach sinks and you're like, oh shit. Here we go. Oh, that's funny.
That's a totally different dilemma, to know or not to know. That's the eternal brain teaser. Most of us, I think, would rather know than not know. But in knowing that there's pain, and in not knowing that there's pain, it's just a different pain.
Either way, it's pain. Yeah. What
hence the expression, pick your poison.
Yeah. I'm ready for Kitty.
All right, you have Kitty loaded and ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're, considered now an alien, non-distinct species in Western Europe.
Blue Dreams by Kitty the Naughty Poet. Was it a dream? The dance between sapphire and turquoise squeal in sequins. Reminiscence of light-hearted movement. Conversation shadowed by the depths of the indigo ocean spring, drowning in the unforgettable memory of lost, the teal muse of fantasies written speech, flexible shapely feet. Float your way through your sheer blue transparency, etching words in the mind's eye like it's chiselled in stone on the bank of the beach, kissed by the sea, buried within the sand of longing. Each wave of azure that drips from my eyes crashes, chipping away at the image of moving, distorting the words of what was once spoken, fading behind the grey clouds of the ghostly spirit, suspended in time of what once was, but now can never be. And peace.
Wow, the inevitable change that she talks about, distorting the words of what was once spoken, after all the passion and lust that led up to that line, up to that point. I mean, it was very sensual and romantic and like beautiful memories that you're going to hang on to the point that people don't talk about this. I don't think, or at least it lingers in the back of your mind. From that moment on, everything's going to be compared to that moment. It's like, was it better than this one, or was it worse than that one, or who did what, or you don't do this like her. Or so it becomes a ghost in a way, and that memory just lingers, and then it gets to that point where things that were based on a lie, and it feels like an evolution sometimes. It wasn't that way at first, or maybe it was and you just didn't see it, and then you want to kind of blame yourself for that. But the inevitable goodbye that has to be, rip the Band-Aid off. There's a lot of pain in that. This is great, Kitty. Thank you for sharing this tonight. And I loved your use of the colors too. I don't use a lot of that in my writing, so I appreciate it when somebody does it with a deft hand. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't like, gratuitous crayons. I thought it was great. Razz, what'd you think?
Yeah, when I hear this notion of a blue dream, it reminds me of different kinds of psychological states. And then when you look into Harvard, Stanley Krepner, who's the head of parapsychology there, what the extent is of having a paranormal experience can only be defined to be an altered state of mind. And so I wonder about this piece, if it's necessarily just on loss or going through a phase where you imagine that reality is compromised strictly of a certain hue that's this color blue. I hear that in certain cases that aurora in of itself, energy, when it looks blue, could be a more ominous sign than a person might think.
You bring up a great point about, you've heard that expression before about, I was going through a phase. So if you combine that with the thought of the lust, or even Picasso's quote unquote blue period, the blue usually means sorrow. There's a lot wrapped up behind, the duality of a lot of those meanings. So a lot more can be read into this piece than just what's on the surface, to be sure. With great observation, Razz. And Boo.
Well, if anybody thinks that she only writes sensual stuff, now they can see that she doesn't, because this is really well written. The dance between sapphire and turquoise, peaceful and wheel and sequence, and in conversation shattered by the depth of indigo ocean spring, drowning in the unforgettable memory of lust. Whoa, that's pretty strong description and details there. And then there's sheer blue transparency. This whole thing is really beautifully written. It's very haunting and ghostly, like she says, fading behind the clouds of a ghostly spirit. Looking back at the time when it was good, when it was right, and when it was beautiful, and how much you want to go back to that, Really great job.
Yeah.
Because you always go oh man, if I could go back one time or whatever, I'd change it, I'd fix it, you want to know hey, what happened? Why are you telling me now? Maybe we could have nipped it in the bud if you would have told me earlier, but
Well, to me, I think Razz hit on it when he was the phase, going through a phase, because that there's a trait, something that's drawing you to this thing, the quote unquote the phase. That there's something that your thoughts are centering on, and you keep going back to. So that explains why you were there, even if it was wrong for you. So to me, that's kind of explaining by the repetition of it. You clearly, well, I shouldn't say clearly, but looking back, you might want to say, I should have never done that or whatever. But at the same time, I won't call it an excuse, but the idea was, well, I was going through a phase, and I know everyone's got a girlfriend at one point that said, he was a phase. You meet somebody's ex or whatever, and you just look at them and seriously? And I was going through a phase, Oh, beautiful piece, Kitty. And thank you for that.
Yeah, don't love being a phase.
All right. So where does that leave us, Razz? I know we still have at least 8 more.
Or 10, yeah. So, Boo, would you be willing to read?
Yeah.
All right. We have one here from Randall S that has to be read.
Okay.
We'll put it on the board.
All right.
Optional thinking.
Trying to figure out if Konreg has a SoundCloud or not. Waiting for him to answer me. Oh yeah, he said it does. Okay, I have to do that one. So okay. So this is from Randa, and it's called Just an Option. I was completely spellbound by you, slowly begun to see a new side I didn't know. I must have seemed like the perfect target, a bit too naive in love, hopeful and innocent. The mask is now peeled and thrown off and only used me to satisfy yourself. Dagger thrust beyond a mask of innocence. Never loved me. It all makes sense. Selfishness you mastered in our relationship, disloyal, worthily deserved leadership. How little conscience you possess, telling lies without even batting an eyelid. My feelings are no longer the rightful owner. Steering my life ship needs no controller. Don't be insistent, I totally learned the lesson. Tearing me apart caused a Great Depression. But in this time, I wasn't to blame for any of this. Just fell for honey-eyed words and empty promises. That's how you lost me, felt like a mighty smack. There's no way in hell I'm ever taking you back. I didn't write that. End poem, sorry.
Wow. That's a powerful ending. I enjoyed this. This was nice. Very eloquently put. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts about that split up that you have in there. And I'm sorry, I can't read back to I can't see to read back and quote some of it. But there was a lot of emotion that went through my head as you were going through it, and my head kind of tumbled along with your story. You know, and the progression of the, you know, what it felt like to be an option. You did a good job expressing that because, you know, again, after the fact, you always want to look back and try and figure out, you know, just where did it go wrong. You know, I almost want to say, you know, not the whole reason, but, you know, a lot of times, you know, people don't get into it with the thought of, well, you know, it's a temporary thing or whatever. They're kind of looking for the long run, I think. You know, at least, you know, I do. For the most part, you know, some people are just like, you know, this is going to be a temporary thing. But, you know, when you invest yourself in it, it doesn't feel like a temporary thing. And that's where the pain and the hurt sometimes comes in. And it's not even half the time that, you know, the person doesn't always communicate it. It's just, you know, your own reading of the situation or misreading of a situation and coming to those conclusions on your own and not having them verified. And then when you find out, like, you know, well, I thought there was something more, but, you know, I was really just an option, that's when you get hit in the face. And it's like, you know, whoa, you know, I never should have. And you know, the whole regret and you know, pain and you know, well, this needs to be goodbye anyway. So, you know, well said, well stated.
Or as my sister would call it, an option, a gap filler. That's terrible.
Yeah. Go ahead, Boo. Can you expound on that comment a little bit for the poem?
Like, I kind of look at this one two ways. You can either be the option, like a good option that they want, or you could be the option, like, you know, in the meantime, or like a gap filler, like this said, which is pretty tricky. But you know, either way, no, you don't want to be either one of those things, and you want to be the option that they choose amongst all the other options, right? So, yeah, to know that that's all that you meant to someone, shit, that hurts. And pretty much saying, like, I never really liked anything about you. You're just sort of there because I was bored. And that's no fun either. So, yeah, I get the emotion in this one. Very, you know, written poetically, and you can't help but not feel something. And it's just, and, you know, all these poems tonight, everybody can relate because we've all been hurt, you know. This is true. But, anyway, great poem.
I think there's the added little bit of it being insulting to be thought of as an option. You know, yeah. It's what makes me an option and not a well, anyway.
You can look at it like this: you had so many options, but you were the one he picked.
The way there's a negative connotation implied in the fact that, you know, I was an option. You know, it's almost like, you know, there's another commitment that she's really hinting at when she says I was an option. You know, and there was something, you know, a little more going on, I think, to that. You know, at least that's how I read into it. Possibly, I could be wrong. What do you think,
it
Razz?
sort of like child abuse, to be honest, because in a way, because the way she describes it, the mask came off and then, it comes in after it's out of dark. I don't know. It kind of got that vibe for me too, but I could be way off.
Or you could be dead on. What do you think, Razz?
Razzle dazzle.
Did I lose my handler?
No, he's fooling around and
No, I'm over here, yeah. When I was thinking about this, these are like sort of superficial relationships. This is all about the dating scene when you are an option. That's when one person or another partner, they're going through a phase of not really wanting to settle down. It's just a question of trying out different opportunities to see which one could finally work for a long-term relationship. And there might have not have been an actual insult here any more than Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah, inadvertently trampling on somebody's feelings. Great observation, Razz.
We have a call in the studio.
No, we don't.
Let's bring him in.
Stop it.
Caller.
What? Hello.
It sounds like
Morris.
Oh, yeah. I said, I was like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, hi, Blade. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was super tired.
I was going to say, I was really tired, so I'm glad you came.
This is actually me doing my Blade impersonation. I don't sound anything like
freaky, but I won't get into my Betty White.
We're not comparing you to Betty White.
You're a lovely poem then, right?
I'm guessing you brought us goodies, Blade?
I did. It's unpublished as of yet, so I have a Google Doc that I'll post on the board.
That works for now.
So it's the semifinals for the Alpha and Omega tournament that I've been doing with the Black Mamba.
Okay.
Oh,
and
go.
The koala. And I've got one more day to finish writing it, and I just am looking for some feedback.
You sure you don't want eucalyptus leaves?
What?
You sure you don't want eucalyptus leaves? I'm glad you got that, because I was worried it was just going to hang there. It's like, wait a minute. She did say koala, didn't she? Wait a minute.
All right, so there's no title, but this is how it goes. So this is the second round against the koala. The first round, I took it from the angle of, like, putting the koala bear on trial for murdering all the other animals, and then sentencing them to death by lethal injection, and the Black Mamba administered that. So
that's a dark forest.
Okay. So now that we got the legalistic logistics out of the way, it's time to get rough, tough, and tumble. Get down and rumble. Do you watch football? 'Cause you just fucking fumbled. Get this wannabe off of the team. This ain't no place for a green-bellied dream. Watch me scheme to make you scream. Know that I reign supreme. I'm the queen in this regime. I'm a fucking machine. It's dream it's elite. You swung and you missed. Smash your face in the concrete 'cause you know you can't compete. Motion denied. You've been tried and now you fry. The locomotion's been done before. So usually you're horizontal. Don't you know that koalas are whores? I'd say you'd need burn cream, but you're not going to need it. The mamba is superior. The marsupial's defeated. Battle completed. Clock says it's time to delete it. Backspace for eucalyptus stew. You eat me? Nah, I'm eating you. Your sickness can't affect me, and I'll dip you in fondue. Swirl your intestines around on a stick. I'm slick and I'm swift. Can't catch me, I'm too quick. Sink my fangs in your slur. I'm a blurred lunatic. 1, 2, 3, 5. You're not leaving this encounter alive. 6, 7, 10, 11. Count my strikes as I bite you. No need to fight you. There's no question in the second. Your expression says it all. Full of fear and terror as your body starts to fall. Hit the ground, lungs seizing, trouble breathing, chest a-heaving, pulse decreasing. You best be believing I'll be squeezing the life out of you. Let me ease your suffering and sing you off to sleep. Slumber deeply and so sweetly. Find peace in the darkness beyond. Rock-a-bye, baby. Rest your head. Close your eyes. If now you're dead.
Ouch. Wow. That ending with where he's took I don't know, it had to be like 3 or 4 lines up from the end. Again, I apologize that I can't quote it. Where you started talking about him squeezing the life out. It was probably the beginning of the last verse. But yeah, that was a lot of finality in that, and yeah, there's no question of who the winner of that was. The whole saying goodbye or idea of call it the big sleep. It really you expressed that well. And in rap, which is something that's I'm not capable of. I mean, I get the cadence and the lyricism to it, but when it comes to executing it, it doesn't work for me. I just can't do it. So I'm a little jealous. I love the flow. You did a great job with that, and I could almost see stereotypical with the hands and the whole idea of rapper from my era, from my age. So your hat's on backwards and you're wearing a sweater. I liked it. I really did. You got the animal kingdom in there. You got the battle between the two of them. I don't know that they're mortal enemies, but I think the mamba would probably fight a mongoose more than a koala bear, but the koala would definitely get bit and probably die. So again, I liked it. It was a lovely battle, and sad to see the koala go. Razz, what'd you think?
Yeah, it seems if this one koala is capable of that much violence, it might not be worth keeping it at the zoo.
Have him go take tickets. Go work the concession stand. But what'd you think?
When you first started talking, I was like, because I wasn't reading it just yet, I was like, is she fucking around or what? Because you're like, okay, so now it's time we got the legalized logistics out of the way, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And then you're like, it's ready to rumble, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this Blade? Because it's just so different than something that I hear you read, and that's what I like about it, because it's fun, it's kind of upbeat, get this want to be off my team, there ain't no place for green belly dream. Plus you got really good rhymes in there. I mean, I hear music to this one big time, for real. And then motion denied, you've been tried, and now you're going to fry. It's just, I think it's just catchy and clever and something unique for you. And it's long, but it didn't feel that way. Did you just write this one?
Yeah, just today, in fact.
Yeah, I like it. It's funky.
2 hours.
Did you say it's in a contest?
What?
Did you say it was in a contest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't posted it yet. I still have another day to post it. But
I like it because I kind of glossed over the fact that there is quite a bit of metaphor, I think, in it too. You're talking about the trial and having been found guilty and whatnot, so you could read a lot more into it than just a bunch of animals killing each other, like Orson. What was it? Not Orson Welles. Who the heck did wasn't the 1984 was what's his name?
And
anyway,
yeah.
You could look at it as humans too, like we're animals fighting. You know, I mean, shit happens. Right?
Yeah, because a koala has been turning its kills into a stew.
Mm-hmm.
Turning its kills into a stew?
Yeah, it's like throwing all the bodies and intestines of the animals that it's defeated into a stew, and then it's going to eat it.
Wow. And here I thought koalas are herbivores.
Right. No, they're just toys.
Koalas are very violent. I read that shit for real. Like, they're really violent.
They are violent. There are many cases of violent lesbian orgies.
Nice.
I thought that rumor was true.
So that backs up my theory that they don't eat meat. Never mind.
Oh, shit.
Anyway,
yeah, they don't prefer meat.
I apologize. I'm not sick, I swear.
That's all right. That was fun.
You can't feed me straight lines like that. You can't.
I know. It's too easy. It's too easy. All right. So, what happened? Razzle Dazzle, what are you doing? Man, I keep trying to get Phil, but he keeps telling me it's corrupted. I'm going to fix it, but don't worry.
Did you just say Phil was corrupted?
Phil is very corrupted. Yeah.
Blade, you corrupted. Blade, you corrupted Phil the poet.
Well, he might agree with that, actually.
Who was first to drop, Razz?
All right. I thought Boo wanted to do hers. If not, we can move on.
Yeah.
Another poet.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting it. I'm trying to do two things. Never good idea.
All right. This is Farewell by Shade Poems. Farewell. With lasting memories, tears, and woes, wrapped in a dream and sealed with a rose, with Dolores' heart away from sense, how shall I ever forget to lament? How shall I forget with poignant eyes those beguiling days, ye days that cry, and like a pitiless stone, not weave my rhyme, desolate art that dreads not time, and forget the tales, those tales of past, crushing sorrows that come ye first, or those glimpses of love, my joys, my pains, and memories of years that make me insane. Those tales of abhorrence and young romance, with elegant accounts of hearts that dance. How shall I forget those affable wiles, the love of those souls like undying miles, or those noble preceptors who taught me to write, to pen my feelings in stars so bright, those wiles of triumph and days of trying, and bitter failures and moments of crying. Oh, there are memories we all forget, the journey of life, life's ebbing sunset, but still some memories adhere and stay, like silken blossoms in life's highway. And with all those memories like azure sky, let us now part with agonized hearts, and with zillion kisses let bid goodbye, and sail like gods for a pristine start.
Wow.
Oh, adieu, adieu, ancient foes, my sterling prayer with ye off goes. Oh, adieu, adieu, friends so bold, my love for you is eternal gold. Oh, parting is such sorrow, we're apart, two enduring souls that once were near, and with a final wave, two broken hearts, slumber for A under silent tears. So remember for A my farewell words, preserve of them with love and woe, for wrecking all bonds like a warbling bird, with thousand memories I shall go. And the author's note, the hardest part of any friendship is when it's time to say goodbye, As much as we might like things to stay the same, change is an inevitable part of life. The universe may seem huge, and the rift between friends on the opposite side of the world may seem a great distance. There are many tools available with which we can communicate, but even without these tools, there is a secret that only real friends know, and it's this: all the mountains and valleys in the world cannot separate friends whose hearts are as one. Cheyenne Dawes.
Wow. I was going to say, at the beginning especially, it felt like it was a Hallmark card. There's a lot of emotion in this, and you could sense the depth of the relationship. This isn't like a casual thing, to be sure. So again, the emotion behind it definitely comes across as very deep, and the sentimentality of it too. It's definitely something that's cherished, and a lot of mention of the memories, because that's kind of what haunts us and we cling to, depending on the nature of the relationship. I think they show themselves in different ways, but it's also I think that the big thing that makes us miss people sometimes, when we have those reminders, whether it's a scent or a song that was, on the radio at some time, or that you went to a concert, something that kind of brings you back to a moment when you were together that you shared, and that sharing of they mentioned in the author's notes about, two hearts that are as one. That's not necessarily a romantic notion. That's just, two people that believe in the same thing that binds them together. That can be romantic, but I think it's more than that. Just beautifully stated. That there's a lot of connection described in this. So that's what makes the goodbye all that much that bittersweetness to it, because like you mentioned, that there's the change that makes it feel inevitable, and it has to happen. But at the same time, you can't really separate two people that are friends, no matter the distance or the lack of communication. You put those two people back together, however many years down the road, it's almost like no time passed. So I really enjoyed this very much. You read it, Razz. What'd you think?
This is definitely an epic. It has a strong sense of poetic language from start to finish. What the poet does here is create a kind of a masterful of soliloquy on the very thought of parting and farewell.
Awesome comment. Is Blade still with us?
I am. I'm going to hop off after this because I have to get up early, but I am glad that I stayed and listened to that. And that was...
Someone's in her lap, so she can't leave.
Yeah, this was gorgeous. There was that one rhyme that didn't rhyme, and it seemed to throw it off a little bit, but it got back into rhythm very quickly. And everything about the language used and the rhyme scheme and the meter, it was very well done. And
they're going to be trying to figure out which one line you're talking about, so don't make them crazy. Because I know if I was listening, I'd be like, what one line? Wait, what?
Past and first, and forget the tales, those tales of past, crushing sorrows that came first. Or those glimpses of love, my joys, my pains, and memories of years that make me insane. The third stanza, the first two lines of the third stanza. And that is the only place that I had any reservation.
This was a pleasure to read. It's great poetry.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
At least. this deserves the front page, I think. Because, it's so epic, and then the rhymes go right on. Like, you can feel every emotion with lasting memories, tears, and woes, wrapped in a dream and sealed with a rose. What an opening line. That is a romantic. And then, for the noble preceptors who taught me to write, to pen my feelings and stars so bright. Oh, it's just like it's love of poetry and rhyme and community that comes with poetry, I think. And it's really, the language is beautiful, the rhyme. I mean, it's a pleasure to read, like Razz said. It's a bit long, but doesn't feel long at all. And then his ending, the farewell, 1,000 memories I shall go. Great ending. Yeah, you should nominate this one, Razz. Great poem. And this is about a friendship, so hard to say goodbye.
Beautifully written.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great of this writer to respond back to Shade Poems, because we have him in the group, but he's on the inactive list usually. But I sent him the letters, so he submitted for the night. Thanks, Shade.
Yeah, I've never seen him before. Read him before. So.
Well, hopefully he'll get a lot of feedback and, continue to come around. We certainly appreciate you dropping for us and sharing it tonight. And, any participation is appreciated, whether you comment on somebody else or you just share something that you wrote, or you do both, or none of the above. I don't know. And your time is appreciated, so thank you. All right. What do we have up? Who is next after Shade?
I think I was.
Well, Boo, are you ready now? I don't want to blow your cool here.
No,
do your poem?
I just have to.
No, that's cool.
I'm ready. I'm working on Phil, but it keeps telling me it's damaged and it's all this other stuff. So I'm trying, but I do have Konreg ready after me. Actually, you know what? You could do Konreg. We could do Konreg first because I just told Konreg he was going to go next, so I don't want to.
Awesome.
Like that, so I'll be right back with it.
Thank you, Shane.
All right. Try to keep this as organized as possible. So, I have the link. Just press play. It's the SoundCloud, right?
Yeah, he got a SoundCloud. It's the first time I've seen Konreg do a SoundCloud.
Hey, we're Cosa Nostra. Of course, we're organized over here.
Yes.
It's organized international business.
When you think Boo, you likely don't think organization, but we're trying. Okay, so let's see. Okay, ready. This is called Mirror.
Mirrors. 10 years ago, we laid you to rest. It was the only funeral we ever mourned. There is an emptiness that was left in your wake. That void is smaller now than before. I guess that means the grieving is finally working. On nights when my mother has had her fill, your name always stumbles into conversation. She reminds me of how much I look like you once did. How my voice is an echo of the one you once carried. And in those moments, I know how the ghost must feel. To be nothing but a shadow, a low-budget sequel, the phantom punching bag. You have become my most difficult act to follow. Once I remove the spears from my throat, I remind her of how you are never coming back, how much she still aches for your name to appear whenever the telephone begins to shake. I tell her that I am still here. I've never confided about how I carry the same curse as you, how I choose to forget only to avoid your name stitched to the edges of my shortcomings. The irony is astounding. Brian, I miss you. I wish you were still here, and we both know that she is right, that if I stare long enough, all the mirrors begin to look like you. It is almost like you never left. End poem.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, I really like this, Konreg. I almost want to say it sounds like the loss of a twin, but I don't want to go that far. Some beautiful lines throughout this whole piece. The final goodbye, that loss that I mentioned at the top of the show. That there's all kinds of different versions of goodbye, and this is the ultimate one. But the irony of saying goodbye, but not really being without the person, only physically. It's that partial goodbye because of the memories, like you're saying, and you see yourself, or you see that person rather, in the mirrors that's reflected in you, that the traits and the habits, or possibly even the physicality that you picked up from that person. Or that you shared with that person, I should say, because and that would make them your father, wouldn't it? Although I guess that could be part of the. I don't know. There's a lot of room for interpretation, I think, in what you said specifically about who it is that you lost. I also liked your portrayal of the phone when the phone shakes, because I grew up with rotary dial and things like that, so people slamming the phone, that can't happen anymore. The phone ringing is the old-fashioned thing. So the shaking of the phone is a good representation, I think, of the forward progress of it. So I can appreciate that change and distinction of it's still kind of timeless in itself, because even back then the phone shook. they were solid pieces of crap, but they made their presence known. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by that. The work is
on the table. The phone, somebody's yelling so loud it's jumping on the table. That's what my dad used to do. Shit.
Well, it was that, when it was that old, the whole thing kind of vibrated and wanted to jump off the table, because it was that one big implement, that one piece of machinery that was just like a huge chunk of plastic. It really was, heavy enough to knock someone out. But anyway, I enjoyed the piece, Konreg. That little side trip is kind of taking away from the beauty of what you expressed, and the sadness for your loss of Ryan. I really do feel the absence as you described it. It's present in your words, and the shadow that you can't really escape. People doing that comparison of the two of you, and wanting you to be him or like him. Really, well put, well said.
Can I go next, Brad? Can I be reading and commenting?
Go ahead, Boo.
Okay, yeah.
Did you want to comment at the end?
This one too. Razz is gonna nominate this one too. This shows how much Konrad's writing has grown, as far as I'm concerned. I can see it in the emotion and in his words, in the confidence, just the way that he read it. And then the emotions in this. There's an emptiness that was left in the wake. The void is smaller now, but I guess that means the grieving is finally working. And then she reminds me of how much I looked like you once did, like it all comes running back. And I think he said something here about daggers being pulled out. Yeah, once I removed the spears from my throat, you get that lump in your throat and you just can't speak when something's so emotional and so moving or so terrifying. And I think that his writing here has progressed. It's shown his growth, spread his poetic wings, and beautifully done. Good job, Konreg.
Awesome comment, Boo. Razz, what'd you think?
Right, I'm hearing all these different interpretations of the piece, but what I received back was kind of different. I understand that the poet was being personal, but I don't know anything about the backstory here. So I thought of this as a kind of metaphor to the kind of psychological game we play called mirroring. And that's by the time we're a child and our first encounter with the mirror, you have an impression of yourself and what the difference is between you and the world. And then throughout life, a certain part of your own psychology, it mirrors on a subconscious level what you think about the world. but all of that's really in your head and not necessarily true. Why it's called mirroring.
Cool observation, Razz. Thank you. And I'm guessing Blade dropped?
Yeah, Blade's gone.
Okay. I told you to sit in her lap so she couldn't leave. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling, Blade. And thank you for dropping that piece, Konreg. I appreciate the personal nature of it as well. So that makes me appreciate it. That you dropping it that much more. It's really cool that you're willing to share something like that, because sometimes people can be unkind or just when they look at something not understanding it. So I really think it's great that you shared it with us. Thank you. You wanted to go next?
Yeah, that's okay. The only last one I have to fix is still, which I may have to take myself.
Oh. You have the podium.
Okay. Okay, 1 second. I was waiting for one voice for time. Sorry. Okay. All right, so I guess this is just basically called goodbye. You should have kissed me before your lips started to bleed, as your soul whispered heavy against my collarbone. You should have torn me apart before flesh turned into a graveyard of longing for you. Your soul breathing. Oh, never mind. But I promise you this: no one shall touch me after you, not even I. There is something about falling in love with a beautiful mind that makes me crave their skin, as it's gripping onto the back of his shoulders while my body is pressed beneath his. Is all I have left to save you from drowning. Touch ravaged my aching body, worn out mouth, fever burnt eyes, hungry heart, and the rest of me is yours, all yours for a lifetime. Through these words, strangle me to write. You do not long for me as you once did. You used to hold me tight, and I heard the unmistakable roar of 1,000 promises. I do not know who else to be if not your lover, all night long, endlessly. And poem.
Wow. This makes me think old school. I mean, the real old school feelings of when someone, grandpa, it's you tease grandma. She's like, what, you still got out, and I had my time. She talks about grandpa all the time. She talks about her memories, how nothing could be the same. That there's something to be said about that, to being loved that way, and never wanting to be with anyone else, because almost you don't want to dishonor that memory of that goodbye, because you didn't have a real choice in it. This implies, I think, that there might have been choice involved in the separation, but it still has that same sentimentality of, even if you haven't died, there's still nobody that's going to touch me, not even myself, after you've gone. And I know I latched on to that one bit because that struck me more than, well, I shouldn't say more, but I guess I should say more than the rest of it. I mean, not that the rest of it was any less powerful. It was just, it really spoke to me. And there's an old time value to that I think is lost on a lot of people, and they don't understand it. It represents something I think that we do look for in relationships in general, whether they're friendships or not. Well, I guess that's a little more intimate than a friendship, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's something that it's something indelible about it. That it's like, no matter what happens, no matter what the state, that ideal, that's hard to deny. Wonderfully put, Boo.
And it's also talking that you're right about that. But it's also talking about in the beginning of the relationship, how we tried so hard, how it's that honeymoon stage, and you wanted me so bad and you couldn't keep off me and whatever. And now it's just like no big deal. And what happened? How did it get to that point? You know what I mean? Yeah.
You need to understand how it fell apart. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
What did you see, Razz?
Yeah, there's plenty of emotion here. Like I was saying about Boo's poetry in different episodes, this is like a powerhouse of feelings, ups and downs of how to, perceive this other partner. And it all becomes all that more dramatic when one of the lines mentions how it's like the end of the world when you're breaking companies and breaking apart, trying to find the end of that relationship. And yet, knowing the poet firsthand, it's one of those goodbyes that I don't trust are really all that final.
Good one, Razz.
But, it goes back to the thought, too, sometimes of the relationship being like an addiction. You can walk away for a little while, but you're coming back.
Yeah.
The first taste is free.
No more samples for you, Boo. Yeah, I'm not good with goodbyes to begin with, so yeah. Thank you. So,
all right.
I'm going to have to maybe hang up for a minute to do fills because it's just not doing it. So I'm going to have to record it.
All right. Can you do we have more poems, or do you need me and Razz to dig?
Yeah, we have plenty of more poems.
Oh, okay. The way she made it sound, I thought we ran through all of them and Phil was the only. Okay. Thank you.
No. Go ahead,
Georgia.
Okay, I'll be right back. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. Let me
lock the door. Don't let her back in.
Here. Before you're back.
She didn't hang up. She caught me.
There's Lockdown Larks. He's becoming a regular at submitting for the shows. And tonight's piece is called Someone. So I'll post that real quick on the board, get straight to reading. And, there's that dancing little banana again there on the screen. All right. Konreg wrote back to Boo that it was beautiful and sensual, and you could feel the hunger of love with every line. Lovely. Here's Lockdown Larks in Someone. Someone arouses senses, a shining light in the darkness. No more ego defenses as your eyes caress. Someone destroys this bliss. I can't recall the reason why. Suddenly it was one last kiss, gone, and I was left to cry. Someone stumbling, someone crashing, someone crumbling, someone thrashing, someone left alone to cope. At first, no more light to see. Climbing up a mountain of hope, whispering my time will be. Someone stumbling, someone crashing, someone crumbling, someone thrashing. Someone came out of the blue in the blink of a doubtful eye, and the aspirations came true on the wing now with my firefly. 1, 2 connecting, 1, 2 caring, 1, 2 reflecting, 1, 2 sharing, and peace.
Wow.
And the inspiration here is Try to Love Again by the Eagles. Author's note.
Nice. This is wonderful. Wow. The roller coaster of emotions. I just thought I'm almost speechless. I really appreciated it. It was beautiful. I without being able to see it, I don't even know where to begin. What did you think, Razz? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a good fine sense of melody on what the poet is driving here, with the idea that there had been someone else and they had a tremendous effect on their life, but it was like on an unconscious level, as if you were really only unconsciously remembering this person and they were always around you, but you could never quite figure out how
you and this mysterious persona have a deeper connection. Why it's as if wherever you go, they go too.
And to me, it feels like a different angle almost, because, you know, when you say someone, it feels more like you're searching for someone, not saying goodbye to someone. But at the same time, it's almost like there was a person in your life that you really didn't know. So that's could be why you're calling them someone. It's so emotional in that regard. And in my head, just, you know, having, you know, poetic tendencies myself, I keep wanting to say that someone was me, you know, but he wasn't doing it in the first person, and it wasn't himself that he was talking about. So that idea goes out the window. But and I can't even shoehorn it in any way. So yeah, that doesn't fit. I acknowledge you. But you know, there was a lot of emotion in this, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Lars. Sorry for kind of stumbling on my comment for that. You really did kind of leave me a little speechless with it. It's great. It's thought provoking. There's a lot of layers to it, and I enjoy pieces like that very much. And I have to mention, you know, I don't know who else is probably thinking it, because when we hear Firefly around here, we think of somebody specific, I think. So when you mention Firefly, you know, a different ghost jumped up. I think it was a different ghost. I don't know that you're talking about the same person. I don't think you are. But, you know, anyway. So Boo disappeared, right? Or did she put herself on mute?
Yeah, that gives me special memories of Sky Darkholme doing Firefly the series on her blog.
Oh, cool. That wasn't what I was thinking. That was someone else's nickname. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah. That was a good series, though. All right, so it's just you and I?
We're the only ones in the studio. Maybe I should read my poem, so in this way no one gets alienated enough to hang up the phone.
No one's going to get alienated, Razz. You write wonderfully. I'm sure you've got your own following, you know, of people that don't necessarily call in. You have a style, man. Some people may not get it, but, you know, I don't know. I appreciate it. You do go from A to B, and you know that I think is what's important.
Yeah, I look for a different angle here on the theme being goodbye, and so this is like a piece on events that unfold in the future that lead to some kind of new world, and it's all like scientific, theoretical. None of it's actually true. But that's the whole underlying premise here of this piece. It's called End Reader. End Reader. Isolation ward in the active. Processing think tank. Neutralization tenacious. Code verification. Harpoon Bay. Advanced environment contamination moon rocket heads. Doomsday machine. Take off the satellite grid pro efficiency rangers. Ringer grapple. Hook pull, survivor gear upload poach, grunge noises come from the radioisotope soil, busty, synchronous hip, locked, center of gravity weights, the Latin metal plate terrestrial disc. When we have been younger, even Lushenko never warned of the air locker bunker. Exactitude, meaningless words harm when the vacuous evacuated skies are resultant. Wordless, sustainable optimum reaping, heavy smoking, raspy Nancy Reagan, strep throat, used Chris Knopf, closet pop star poster. All this earth is the bottom of my heart, Cupid Jack cufflink, two-piece suit, the killing arrow to Rome, assembling deer hunt, the bugger voice personification, lying, real eyes that are staring in, and the ruby globes. Megahertz police band finally silenced, and a dead ringing ear to emergency broadcasting. Sonic boom, kaboom, and bam. Random chance, accidental probability. Reverend. Side of the road hitchhiker. Total of the wreckage, spare parts introverted. Upholstery disfigured. Term paper before the cracking terminal protocol. Adopting to evolving technologies. Beyond spray, liquid chilled external faculties. Resume to national sweepstake. Situational degeneration of air traffic flow. Defense vehicles. Recharger. Hooking themselves with the power walls. Position. Defection. End reader. And peace.
Holy crap! It's like the end of the world, man. That was pretty steep. Talk about the ultimate goodbye. I mean, part of the theme, I think, of what you're talking about too is goodbye to a certain way of life. A way of living, the way things are evolving, and then ultimately goodbye to everything because we're going down that path. It's really very doomsday, very dark, but very clear. For darkness, it's pretty clear. I amused myself too much. I apologize, Razz. I'm not laughing at you. I just, I really liked the piece. That was kind of what I got out of it. I don't know how far off I am, but whole...
This is really when what you have of present day warfare alters different forms of societies. That's kind of like the underlying politic here of Unreader,
Wow. That's like real heavy, man.
Yeah, but spot on, really. Yeah.
There's just the idea of even fallout. It brings me to a couple of events that we've actually have experienced. What was it? Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. We've dealt with fallout, to a certain degree. Not to the degree that we're marching towards, though, but enough that we kind of know this is what's around the corner if things keep going the way that they're going. It's just some scary shit. It's a really nightmarish type poem. Don't let anybody tell you don't write dark.
I was kind of like in a nightmare mode writing that piece. You could tell, yeah. I was thinking of what it would be like if we were, on the verge of nuclear war. So that kind of stands with the descriptions of Unreader, yeah.
Beautiful. Good job, Razz. I enjoyed it very much.
But that's not to say, I know this is like a grim way of looking at things. It's pretty morbid. But even in an all-out global nuclear strike, there's going to be survivors. And so that's what I mean, how it's goodbye to one world and hello to whatever there is next. You know?
That was what I meant when I said, saying goodbye to a certain way of life. Yeah. There's a definite transition that you're talking about, too. It's not, and, that every time somebody says, there's going to be survivors, my mind goes, cockroaches.
Yeah, no one understands how they're going to live in all that fallout, but there will be survivors.
We're going to evolve into human cockroaches.
We don't know anything about what it's going to be like that day after tomorrow, no.
Wow. Good piece. All right. So how many do we have left?
Let me count real quick. I hope who gets back. There's like 4 of these reasons requires a female reader. So we have, let's see, there's Jag, Kara Solomon, that's 2. There's also Rose Winner, 3, Irish Rose, 4, Poetic to be 5, Phil, 6 more.
I'm sorry, Phil. I tried to get you read earlier. I don't know why Boo seems to have problems getting you in the studio. I wish I could still navigate the stupid PC, the phone the way I used to. I apologize. So we don't have any girls around to do the female readers. Not that we need a female to read it, but Jeg didn't give us a SoundCloud, right?
Jake?
J-E-G, Jeg?
Yeah, Jeg. No, Jeg has to be read.
You want to read his next?
Yeah, I'll go for that right now. Sure. Just typing away at some text here. That was next. All right, let me see. When love becomes a memory.
Oh, wow.
I think that's either more romantic or maybe I should be trying to remember other things that aren't love. That sounds depressing as hell, but on a personal note, let's get into this. The poem, When Love Becomes a Memory. And there's a subcaption here, what if I can't forget you? When love becomes a memory. Mind's eye knits me an outline from silken threads of old days. Memories quenching my thirst since love was a dream turned away. Upon the screen, winding streets, thoroughfares that love walked. Twilight but a gray canvas sheet draped upon corners where we talked. Quietly our movie fades to black, daylight tiptoeing across the sky, haunting refrains of last credits, while morning birds open sleepy eyes. And peace. And author's note, this is what happens when time spent with a past love and nightly memories is the only thing that can soothe you. John Gilman.
Wow. Yeah, there's a fire, calling them ghosts before. Yeah, those memories really kind of, I think, define bits of the relationship. The thing that haunts you and stays with you, and just constantly reminds you of why it is that you fell in love. I mean, you could take that title so many different ways, but when you get into the way that you wrote your piece, it takes a very specific direction, because the idea of when it was only a memory, that then it's a self-reflection and feeling unworthy of being loved or whatever. But when it's not, when it's about somebody specific, somebody that you were involved with, it gives it definitely a different spin to it. And that's, the passion, well, I shouldn't say passion, but, the connection that really the two of you shared is why, what drove the relationship to begin with. It's what makes you say, I loved them, and that's the true definition of that feeling and you're bringing out. And that's why, you can't really forget them, I think. There's a lot of expressions that people call cliche. I think that come to mind when you speak. When they say, I never knew what love was until I met you. That idea comes out in what you wrote. We're searching for that feeling, for that situation, for that emotion, and when you find it in someone, they might not. People might not necessarily even understand what it is, that they've stumbled onto until they lose it. And that's, the other thing about loss sometimes, the whole, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. You want to call these things cliches, but, you're giving us examples of why it's cliche because it's true, damn it. It's like you can't deny that these are the things, or I shouldn't say, this is what you went through, but, these are things that lead us down the path that you're describing, I think, and it's wonderfully emotional and heart-wrenching. You don't want to be experiencing something like this, but you almost can't help it because you're fortunate enough to have the relationship to begin with, but unfortunate enough to have had to end it. So this true definition of tragedy, I think, beautifully written. What do you think, Razz?
Yeah, I see every point you're driving at here. How many things individuals want to instinctively say about love is almost cliche-like, but sometimes it's the words they actually mean. And I guess those who tend to not forget the ones that hit them the hardest, they might really spend these sleepless nights, and it's a torment which is not like any other kind when it comes to wondering what it would be like for that person to be by your side and still going through that sense of loneliness by sunrise.
Yeah, you can't help but go back to those moments when they were by your side. It's like things are going to remind you of it. You can't get away from it because you went through that experience and it lifted you up in a way that's so memorable. It's indelible. It's really haunting. Beautifully put.
Boo's
I heard Boo.
Studio.
I heard her.
Yeah.
She made a lot of racket when she came in the door. She doesn't come in quiet.
Well, first I was going to say, Razz, you're going to have to read yours again because I missed it and I would like to hear it, please. And you could run that back when we're done with this one. But I always know it's Jag because he always centers it in the middle and he always does it in gold. But other than that, I know that it's him because I know he writes in the way it's like, I don't know how to describe it, like flick to the point, but yet still poetic. And, because upon the screen, winding streets, like how he puts everything like a black and white movie, twilight, but a gray canvas. And then quietly our movie fades to black, daylight tiptoeing across the sky. And it is when you're laying there alone in the dark, making all the wishes that you wish that person was there, or you try to remember. Or even sometimes pathetic enough you hold yourself. I've done that too. Wishing and longing.
I mold a pillow.
Yeah, they have those body pillows now too. That's like the thing, but his wording's beautiful. I mean, only sleep morning birds, only sleepy eyes. And he said right there, this is what happens when time spent with a past love and nightly memories is the only thing that can soothe you. Yeah, when that's all you got. Not pretty, but we all got it, right? Beautifully done and well written and razzle dazzle.
It's hard to say that we all have it too because you don't know what's around the corner.
Something.
Which is kind of what Razz's poem is about. We don't know what's around the corner.
Good. Yeah, let's hear it again, Razz. If you don't mind, Rack.
No, I'm not going to do an encore performance. You missed the piece.
Why not? I didn't do it, right?
Well, we're going to make you download the playback.
You're going to have to use replay.
I wanted to support my buddy partner over there. That's why. That's okay. All right.
But we do need your help in reading the female poets left in the folder.
I need your help with this password over on WhatsApp. Okay. So I can get fills in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can make an exchange, Mother Leopard. All right. There's this poem by Eternal Light, or Rose Winner, called Eternal Light.
Okay.
You see it?
All right.
Link?
Yeah, I got it. Yep. Oh, that's easy. Eternal Light. Now, John and Zeus embrace always. I don't know how to say that word.
Spell it.
Elysian.
Elysian.
Okay. John and Zeus embrace always Elysian fields. Poet symphony. Thank you for your kindness. We pray for your family. And poem.
Well, in mythology, the Elysian fields were like heaven. That was where you went to spend the afterlife if you didn't go to Hades. So there's that. There's John and Zeus. I mean,
John
wow.
and Zeus. I'm not sure who that is. I mean, I know who Zeus is, obviously, but I never heard of John. I have to look that one up.
It's you know, when you talk about forever, you know, this is almost like, you know, I don't want to say goodbye, because if he's talking about Elysian, if they are talking about Elysian Fields, you know, that's, you know, meeting up afterwards. So we've left this life, but, you know, there's still hope, and there's you know, it's only goodbye for now. So it sounds like this is a hopeful piece. It's definitely a brevity.
Yes, it is. It sure is. But I think there's a lot to be said here. Maybe Razz can help us, because I think he's got it. Like, it's more there, but I just don't know what it is. Razz has.
No, that sounds right, what Rax said about the poem. What I see here is very similar. This is about saying goodbye to someone who's like a neighbor or a friend that passed away. And so you're hoping that their family gets over the grievance, because obviously they found some comfort or solace in a greater place like heaven.
Awesome. Thank you for the read, Boo.
Clock's winding down on that folder, so am I going to have to refill, Boo?
No. He gave us a SoundCloud. We're not going to read him. If we can't get the SoundCloud in the studio, we're going to.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. If we don't get it, then we can carry it over tomorrow. But I'm actually doing it. I just need the password, Razz, for the it's over on WhatsApp. Hey, I'm going to say WhatsApp. No, Rocky Poo, what about yours?
I mean, you still got 5 poems to go, so don't worry about mine.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's do another one, and I'll do Phil. I just need you to give me the password on WhatsApp, Razz. Steve.
I did.
And then we can do. Did?
Which
no, I'm
one are
talking
you
about
looking for now?
For Blog Talk. You know, I'm always forgetting. Well, it was in there, and then I got another phone. So
all right.
It wasn't like in there.
Yeah. That should be. Let me see real quick.
Hey, Rax, do you advise against getting back with your ex? With an ex?
No.
Well,
I used to say,
right?
no rearview mirrors, no looking back. There's a reason why your ex is your ex, and there's too many ghosts and things that I think pop up when you turn around and you try it. I actually had occasion to almost get back with my first girlfriend, actually. And I almost want to say somewhat recently, but, you know, it's been a while now. And for the second time, she actually left a note on my pillow.
Shut up, really?
She literally left a note on my pillow. She couldn't look me in the eye and say goodbye the second time. She's just like, it's like, you know, yeah.
Wow. My friend got broken up with a post-it note. You know? Pretty screwed up. No. Yeah. That would be a no for me, too. I've tried it, but it doesn't ever work out. You know, because you think, oh, then you just run into the same problems that you had the first time around. No, that's not to say I'm not also trying to stay friends with my exes. You know, I'd like to think I could have stayed friends with them if I was still in touch with most of them. You know, but some of them chose to just, you know, be like, you know, I can't be friends with you. And some of them were just like, you know, why, what's the point? So, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. But, you know, I wasn't the one, 99% of the time I wasn't the one that broke up, so. Yeah, I try not to be that person either. But, yeah, the last time I've been that way. But anyway.
Well, you know, you could say, you know, I'm blind. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That's awful, really.
But I'm allowed to get away with that.
No, being blindsided sucks too, man. That's the thing.
She's the one
who's
looking through you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we have time, I'm going to make you read that poem, man. Or you can read it later, I guess. But who's next?
Did you get into the studio, Boo?
All we have is still, so don't you have anybody else you could do? That's the wrong password.
He just asked you if you got into the studio.
No, I'm trying still. That first one was the wrong password, so either or that or my fat fingers. But all we have is still, so that's all I got to do. So we could read the other one. Oh, nope, wrong password. Okay, I'm just gonna send myself love.
We've got at least Irish Rose that I know of. I think there might be one other one.
I can read Irish Rose. Are you still not in the studio,
yeah.
Boo? You are?
I'm trying to get in the studio. No, I'm not. I'm trying to get in. Don't worry, I read Irish. Yeah.
Well, let me give you another
I can
one.
read Irish for you.
Yeah.
However you
All
want.
right. Try
okay.
that other pass. So here's Irish Rose is on the board.
Embedded in algorithms? Okay.
Yeah.
You are embedded in my algorithms and memories. That's where you walk. Visually enhanced. Although we've never really talked. I've seen your face, skin, and blonde hair. In a video, in my mind, fine frame somewhere, you told me your name. We had great talks, shared words, breathed writing, ate art, shared stories. Unafraid then. The pandemic swallowed more than just men. It changed fate. End poem.
Wow. Talk about modernization of the breakup. I mean, this description of a romance, it kind of leaves it a little open-ended whether they met or not, but, you know, she's talking about the whole digital experience and conveys it so wonderfully. There's that gap that just makes it, you know, I don't want to say it makes it easier to say goodbye because, you know, that's like disallowing the feelings to begin with. Because, you know, people say, and you know, that's the other thing that drives me insane, when people want to say, you know, it's not a real relationship online, because the emotions are no less real than if you met in real life.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, the ultimate goal at the end of the day, I think, is to actually meet in the flesh. But until that happens, you can't say, well, you can't really love me because you haven't met me yet. You know, love grows, you know, there's different, you know, degrees of it, different depths of it. So, you know, I don't think that's a fair thing to say at all. You know, falling in love with the picture and your idea of what someone is, maybe setting, I don't want to say goals, but, you know, expectations in a certain direction. But, you know, that's not to say that, you know, they're not necessarily going to come to fruition. So, you know, I don't think that's fair to not give that idea a chance, even if it does, you know, take a while to come true, or, you know, and that's another thing that drives me insane too. You want to talk about circling the drain? That idea of, okay, you know, we've been talking online. When are we going to meet? You know, it's like we have to set a plan. We have to say, you know, at some point, you know, okay, this has to be brought. Yeah. Otherwise, we're kind of wasting our time. So, you know, what's the point of, you know, doing this unless we really do intend to meet? So let's, you know, at least, you know, have coffee or something first and see what happens. You know, you can't keep the online thing going for like, you know, 6 years and then be like, you know, okay, let's get married now. You have to have some kind of contact, I think. I know I'm personally, I actually dated a girl from Indiana, even though I'm in Jersey. So, you know, it was like she flew here for a couple of weeks, I flew there, and, you know, things.
I'm the queen.
Yeah. It degraded, but, you know, it happened. We tried, you know, and at least I could say, you know, we gave it a shot, and, you know, we did meet in person. So, you know, there was that, and you know, the spark was there. It just, you know, the real life, you know, I won't call it snoring, but the real life differences, I guess, came about, you know, with our personalities didn't quite mesh the same as they did online, you know. It wasn't even that we were different. It was just, you know, in person was a different dynamic, I guess. You know, the idea of it's the journey, not the destination, doesn't translate, you know, in New York City as an example. You know, it's like, well, the journey's a subway ride, so that ain't the journey that you want to say. It's the journey, not the destination. It's not the same as, you know, a footpath in the middle of you know, idyllic green grass and whatnot. It's the damn subway. There's rats and homeless people with begging. No, it's not. It's not the destination. It's not the journey in that case. I'm sorry. New Yorkers put their heads down and plow ahead and don't, you know, look up at the skyscrapers. You know, I do believe, you know, more often than, yeah, it is the journey, not the, but not when you're on the subway. I'm sorry, not in New York. That's a different exception, I think. But anyway, that was just, you know, one experience.
That was a whole nother rabbit hole. But anyway, I was good.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. You know.
But you know what? I agree with you. The feelings are real. I mean, I used to make fun of people that did that shit too, and then, you know, it happens to you, and you're like, oh God, you know. So that's a whole other show. Shut up.
Well, you know, again, to me, it also kind of comes back to that other question. You know, when someone says, why? Well, why kind of doesn't matter, you know. You could have all these feelings for someone online and be like, you know, I love you, and then when you meet in person, you're like, you just don't do it for me. I mean, to look at someone after all that and say why is kind of like, you know, I can't put my finger on. I don't know. It's almost unfair, but you know, your gut's telling you something. You know, it's like I maybe you don't know how to put it into words. Maybe it's like, you know, they've got BO and you just don't know how to say it. It's you know, does that really matter? You know, the why is just, you know, it's not. It's an objection that you can't get over, I think. I don't know. It's not fair to try and argue it, because that's trying to talk someone out of their feelings, I think. You know, I never wanted to have control over someone like that and be able to manipulate them into being like, you know, well, this is this and this is this, and then they agree with you, and then they feel all manipulated, and then you question the whole basis of the relationship to begin with. Anyway, that's a different rabbit hole. Did I drop?
Yeah, you're still here.
Dead silence. I
was on mute, just having a full conversation with you, Razz. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I was going to say, if you got to talk somebody into being with you, then that's probably a red flag. You know?
That's a big red flag.
Yeah, agreed. But, you know, that's what her poem, I mean, says to me. Her poem says, you know, remember where we once were and
look
what happened.
Look in the studio if you're looking to kill time. There's a poem called Resolve.
Okay. I'm moving souls over right now, but I'm almost done. I finally got it,
okay.
I think. Yeah.
All right. You want to play Resolve by you, Rack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can look that up for you. Yeah.
Okay.
And what I thought about this piece was slightly different. When I saw that word pandemic, of course, the first thought I had was the COVID-19 virus. And, you know, I think it's been over in a lot of people's mind how to really trust anyone, including the World Health Organization, because of this sickness. Yeah.
No fucking shit. And also, not only that, how COVID has made us, it's forced us to go inside, it's forced us to stay inside, you know? So you can't really get out and meet and mingle and go on dates and all that stuff like you used to as much, I think. True. Made us more further apart. It's my opinion.
I have your piece, right? Resolve. Let's play it.
Resolve by Raconteur. You kept my tears as souvenirs, played upon my darkest fears, held my heart in contempt, used me till I was totally spent. Yet I continued to come back for more, no matter how many times you slammed the door. I only wanted to be held by you. Nothing mattered till I knew how you really felt inside. It was then I finally cried. Your indifference in the open, unable to hide the nature of your deception, even your body lied. You never cared what I was about. My desires meant nothing, held no clout. All that mattered, you got your way. I was never meant to have my say. Emotions you wouldn't let come into play. It all ends today. End poem.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm feeling that last line. It all ends today. Like, we've reached the end of the line here. How far anyone can push the other in relations. And so this is the termination of all communications from this point onwards, like you're saying there. What do you think of this, Boo?
Saying, oh shit, hold on. God damn. Sorry, hold on. Okay. Oh, I was on speaker.
You are?
Sorry. I'm just tripping. Ignore me. I think that he's finally saying, like, putting his foot down. This is it. Like, this ends today. I'm over your bullshit. Even your body lied to me, okay? So even your body lied to me, which means your lips lied, your heart lied, and everything else lied. And it's all just a facade, like, fuck off, I'm done. But in a nice, poetic way.
Yeah.
And, and you're such a lover anyway, Raconteur. I mean, I know it's got to be hard for you to get to that point because you probably give people benefit of the doubt and chances and everything else. But, yeah, and it's a lot of emotion, which is all your poetry really is on. You wear your heart on your sleeve and you put it on your pen. So I liked it. I loved it.
Thanks.
And what's not to love about you? I mean, seriously. Either one of you. What's not to love about either one of you fine gentlemen? Not a thing.
Marry me, Razz.
Razz, you gotta put
I'm
out.
sorry, I can't do that for you, Rack. I'm already married.
He's gonna marry me. He's gonna marry me.
Yeah, I'm married to the sea.
Respect, Razz, respect.
That's hilarious. Hey, all right. So I believe that I finally got Phil situated.
All right.
Before I start talking shit, let me look. I know what I just did. I think. Okay, wait a minute. I might have lied. I think I just put Konreg in again. I do have it though. So
I
don't
am
know if there's
4.
another one to read.
I am 9.
Monday, Phil?
What about 4? A Jew.
No, don't read it. Is it up there, right?
All right.
It should be on.
Let me check.
7:30. No, I think, you know what it is? I got to add it again, sorry. Because I think I just put Konreg there by mistake. But I got it right here. Okay. I just had to put it right here. Sorry. I put the wrong one there. So, anyway, you want to mention tomorrow night there, Razz?
Tomorrow night, we're going to have public poetry. As usual on Sunday, I'll be hosting with the open poetry, open mic. Bring anything you like for the recital.
9 o'clock Eastern?
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. Thank you. And Zappa, hope you feel better. Lizzie, we miss you. Adam, we miss you. Corey, we miss you too. Everybody else. So, are you ready?
Corey, if you're hearing this, you can actually use the phone. We will pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, we have someone in the studio trying to call in?
Not that I see.
Oh. The way he said that, I was
Linda
like,
said it.